Welcome back to the next rendition of The D.I.L.F Show. This is Andy Christopher, aka the dad I listen to frequently. And we got a special episode today because we have a special, albeit probably Hallmark created holiday coming up known as Mother's Day. So, what I wanted to do on this particular episode was just share some stories about my family and the motherly figures in my life, and maybe just lead into other moms who are absolutely getting it right in terms of how they handle their parents, and people that we've tried to emulate in becoming parents ourselves. And it's going to be pretty freeform, but want to most importantly give the love and props to the people who have gotten me here. And it hasn't been just one specific person, and it's evolved throughout the course of time, because there have been so many influential and wonderful people in my life. I feel so grateful to be able to have a few people that I can really lean on when when the going gets tough, and people who have helped shape me into the person I am today. But before I get to that, once again, we're going to start with a little story from the past week. So in a coming episode, we're going to address potty training. Arlo's gone through potty training. He's doing very well with going number one. Number two still avoids him. He still saves that for his diaper at night. And one of the funniest things that just popped up. So we were pressing pretty hard to get him to poop on the toilet, and just trying to get him to feel comfortable being in clothes and out of clothes and taking himself to the toilet. But if he's having fun, he just physically doesn't want to do it. And I'm sure many parents out there have experienced the same thing, where they will just save it, and he'll be holding it in, and he'll be kind of scrunching, and that he has to use the bathroom, but he's having so much fun with whatever's in front of him that he just doesn't want to leave it to go to the bathroom. And so we physically have to walk him over, sometimes put him on the toilet. He is peeing standing up, which is pretty cool, but still hasn't pooped in the toilet. And we've been doing this for some time now. And so the other day, he hadn't pooped in a couple of days, and we were just kind of picking his brain, because we've now tried to not force the issue. Like, don't, so to speak, don't force the poop out of him, right? And we asked him, how are you feeling, honey? Do you feel something in your butt? Do you feel something that's like a potty? And he said, no, I'm scared. We're like, what are you scared about, honey? What is it? She's like, no poo-poo. It's like, you don't want to go poo-poo on the toilet? No hurt penis. And we look at each other like, what? It's like, honey, do you think the poop comes out of your penis? And he's like, yeah, kiss penis, make owie. I don't want owie. So we basically got from him that he thought that poop comes out of your dink, out of your penis. And so we had to, and now we've had to show him. And if you want an uncomfortable situation, having your child watch you go poo is up there, top of the table, most uncomfortable moments that you'll ever experience. But just like any parenting move, you do what you got to do. We show him, and I show him, it's not coming out of my dick, it's coming out of my butt. And so he saw that, he gets it. He just still refuses, but he wanted us to comfort him because he was scared, thinking that these big poops were coming out of his penis. And that has provided an inside running joke between Julia and myself that I wanted to share with everybody, because the things you take for granted as an adult that you don't understand, that probably plagued you as a child, my goodness, just the simplest of tasks, the simplest of things, you never know it's always something brand new just hits you. So I wrote that one down to share with everyone. Hopefully you get a big kick out of that. But Mother's Day, right around the corner. And, so many people in my life that I love and hold dear to me. Obviously, my mom, her name's Catalin. She has, forever been a light in my life and a guiding, driving force for success and understanding failure, understanding, to follow my passions. And, I started cataloging and revisiting some of the earlier, more formidable years because, we're getting into the point where we need to start potentially punishing Arlo. We need to start thinking about all these technology related things. And, the more I look back on it, I'm like, damn, my mom, my family, they really got it right. My sister and I, we both have been so fortunate in the sense that I feel we have a very grounded understanding of right and wrong, of morality, of how to treat people the way we'd like to be treated. But that's not something that was just formed overnight. That is forged over the course of time and over the course of messing up so many times that it eventually starts to sink in. But my mom was always there to provide that kind of guidance and that kind of understanding without, just having to instill this ultimate fear of, consequence. If you do this, it's going to cause you physical harm, or I'm going to punish you the way I'm going to punish you. And that, can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, a lot of different parents, a lot of different upbringings. But, when it comes to the understanding and just kind of the being there at the influential moments, my mom was always top of the table, always top notch in regards to, I don't actually now understand how she was, and still is, an entrepreneur who somehow managed to still be there to cook dinner almost every single night for the family. It sounds like such a simple thing, but building your own business and being in charge of so many people, you've got so many things pulling at you. And, another key figure here, my grandmother, Margaret, called her Nana. Miss you, Nana. Love you so much. She played a big role in terms of being there, just the physical presence of, I'm going to keep them safe. I'm going to keep them fed. I'm going to keep them entertained and happy and, take care of the house. That cannot be discounted in the slightest, because when Julia and I are doing everything and, we're running ourselves ragged, this conversation just came up this past week between Julia and myself, which is, do we need someone right now to come in and help us cook, clean, take care of the house, all these things, just maintain the status quo before baby girl gets here? And, what I've decided to do is kind of pivot a little bit in terms of, okay, I got to front load my days, and then I got to devote a good chunk of time to making sure that we're just at an even keel at home. And it's been working so far, but that conversation has come up because you just get overwhelmed, and a couple of days of dishes, you back up, and then that kind of floods into all the other stuff that you're not cleaning or vacuuming or whatever. And, there's always the explosion that happens as soon as Arlo comes back from daycare, or we have the weekends to ourselves and he just wants to play, and it's just boom, all the toys are everywhere again, right? So my grandma, she really did help maintain, a lot of those things. But I was talking with Julia about this. I'm just astounded that, school, the years I really remember of school were middle school. Of course, I remember being at grade school and things like that, but more details are evident from middle school into high school, into college, obviously. And for the most part, my mom, or someone within our immediate family, Nora and Morgan, my cousins who I've both considered to be kind of like parents at stages in my life as well. Organization about who is coming to pick us up from school was always handled. And I think back to days when, school gets out, or let's say it got out at 3:30. I think that was the time that Lindero got out. And I remember sometimes being the last person to get picked up and, just being so frustrated, just like, what is happening here? They know, like, the people know it's supposed to be 3:30. Like, why is no one here to pick me up? It's 3:40, it's 3:50, it's 4 o'clock, it's 4:10. Like, what's going on? Sometimes it's raining. Sometimes you're kind of up against it. And at that point, cell phones weren't really a thing. I think I got my first Nokia. Yeah, the Nokia. And I still remember setting extravagant high scores on Snake, but we never sent text messages. I just had to rely on the fact that they were going to be there. And well before us, I'm sure it was very, very similar in terms of just, this is the way it is. Like, I'm going to meet you here, and then you just stick to it. You don't wander off. You don't text that you went to 7-Eleven to go get a Slurpee. You stay there. You get picked up, right? And so I remember always being like either mad or frustrated, and I'd get in the car just kind of all fussy, like, well, yeah, I don't really want to talk about my day because you were late. What the hell? And I think back now about all the things pulling at me and what it's going to be like to make that commitment to a pickup. And, my mom, she ran her own business. She owned a chocolate factory for like 30 years. So yeah, I was definitely like, she was Willy Wonka and I was Charlie Bucket. I got free reign of that chocolate factory whenever I needed it. And it was amazing. It was great. But she ran a business, lots of employees, marketing, packaging, products, events, all these things, salary, like just the due diligence of employing people. And to think of if I was in her shoes trying to pick up my children at 3:30 in the middle of a workday, and to an extent, as an entrepreneur, you make your workday your own, but by the 8 to 4 or 9 to 5 schedule metric, picking up your child in what feels like the middle of the day, I'm baffled at how consistently we in fact got picked up. And yes, there were times I had baseball practice and I'd go to, my best friend Matt's house, who lived right next door, and, his parents would take us to practice. And there are obviously these scenarios and situations, but for the most part, what I remember is that my mom or someone in my family picked me up every single day, for better or worse, at about 3:30. And then I know Morgan loves the story. I'd always finagle, if it was Nora Morgan or someone else, I'd always finagle a little something. Hey, can we go to the baseball card shop? Mom usually gets me a couple packs of cards. Or, hey, can we stop by Jack in the Box? Yeah, I'm still kind of hungry. I'm growing, man. I got to eat. Oh, what do you want? I'll get a Jack spicy chicken. Actually, can I get 2 Jack spicy chickens, please? You always find a way to work the system when it's not your direct parent, your direct mom or dad. And I would be the exact same way if put in that same situation. Oh yeah, go for it. Let's do it. You're just so thankful to be involved at that point. But just being there, we've talked about this on previous episodes. Being there and being present is probably 88% of parenting. And my mom picking me up, asking me about my day, asking me about what challenged me, and what was kind of stressing me out, or what was a difficult part of my day, and not just more generic questions, just not prodding, just engaging, has enabled me to engage with people in different ways. When I ask people questions, sometimes they're thrown off, like, wow, no one ever really asked me that. It's because that's the way my sister and I grew up. We were just fortunate enough to think differently and think outside the box a little bit, and just be mentally engaged with people. And that comes back to my mom, my dad, even my cousins and everyone in our inner circle. They always had that way of being mentally present and in that moment with whoever was in front of them. And that, in retrospect, is such a gift, man. To have that has enabled me to evolve and grow into becoming a decent person. Right. And ages, I don't know, I'm sure it dives back even further. I think of 8 to 12-year-olds right now, and that's probably what 12 to 17-year-olds were during my time, and just the swirling mass of chaos and emotions and drama that is engaged in those moments or years. And handling those. And my dad said it great. He's like, you never know when you're going to have to be on, in terms of the moment that sinks in with your child. Like, you're always on. You always have to be in that moment, because something that you say or do could be the thing that they take with them for the rest of their lives, for better or worse, good or bad. And we would get home after school and we'd have our wind down time. But whether it was her directly or coming in at another time, my mom, she loves to cook. And I think that's why I love to cook. I love to experiment and try different things. She does love to cook, but if you're a parent or if you're a human being, you can understand this. It is difficult every single night to just put something in front of yourself, much less for 5 to 10 other people, depending on the night, every single day. Nowadays, we have stuff like Uber Eats. We have ways and outlets to simplify the process. That didn't exist. And I remember, watching mom cook and not even thinking twice about it. It was just, it was always part of my aesthetic, my ambiance at the home. Like, mom cooking, she loves it. She's doing it. There's music, perhaps a cocktail nearby. And it, that to me is like the dream. That's the setup. Having the ability to, set your schedule and block out for that time to be able to make it happen, versus just every night scrambling and leading to potentially bigger, more frustrating issues. I mean, that is it. It seems so simple, but it is so difficult to coordinate something like that every single night. And my mom always seemed to make it happen. And I love her so much for that, because that's the shit that I remember now. And in the moment, I'm worrying about a sporting event. I'm worrying about a project or an assignment. I think about how much my mom helped me cheat on the 4th grade. Not was it the Pueblo exhibit or the missions? We had to make the mission project, and none of the kids could make their own mission without their parents' help. But my mom rushed it. She took me out to Mission Santa Barbara. We got a feel for everything, and then she just created this wonderful presentation. Obviously, I got the A on it, but I think about all those little things that I just took for granted in the moment, because when you're growing up, you're just worried about your own self and how to not be awkward and how to dress the next day. And, how am I going to get this paper done? And you so take for granted what your parents are for you at those moments in time. And I've said this to her, but my mom is one of, if not the largest reason that I have achieved some metric of success or some like mental state of stability in my life. And her work ethic, her guidance, her love and compassion at the times I needed it are so crucial. And that doesn't mean that she didn't express disappointment and kick my ass when it was time to do it. When I needed that push, when I needed that kind of reset on the train tracks as opposed to, diving off into the dirt. And it's, it baffles me about what that's going to look like in our own lives. Now we're going to have a similar setup between Arlo and baby girl that my parents had. And I just want to do it. So like, not the exact same thing because we're different people, but I want to emulate all the good things that they did because they got something right. They figured it out. And, I once again would be remiss if I didn't come back to my grandmother. I just grossly underappreciated what my grandmother did for me and my sister. My sister and I me and my sister, that was right. And did for us during those crucial years, because I didn't get it. It was, this was Nana, she was wonderful and always so willing and generous with her time. That's just who she was. And I wasn't old enough to respect or appreciate that. Right. But now looking back, I just want to sit down with her and understand her perspective more than ever, because, and I wish I could go back in time to do something like that, because when by the time I understood and got to a point where I could connect, it was too late. She was mentally gone, and she was on her way out. But man, the stuff that she went through, she came from war-torn Eastern Europe, and everyone has their flaws, but man, she helped forge my mother. She helped forge Catalin. So she did something right too. It's not just innate and born within the person. That is the environment that person is born into and deals with on a day-to-day basis. And for better or worse, the trials, tribulations, and struggles, that's the stuff that forms us in whatever direction we're going to go. And my mom's wonderful. So at a certain point, you got to believe like my grandma had to be wonderful. And I know that she was because I experienced it. I just mentally wasn't there to experience the full and appreciate the full brunt of it. So, I'm not really going anywhere with that particular point other than, my mom was there when I needed her. And, I remember I was telling someone this story. Do you remember outdoor education? It's a 5th grade thing. And I remember that when you go to outdoor ed, you're gone for a week. You cannot do anything else for that week except be part of the experience. And somehow through either enough, convincing or complaining or whatever, my parents and, my mom figured out a way to get me to go play in this baseball game. We had a playoff baseball game and I wanted to be there so badly. And I'm like, I have to be at this game. I can't miss it for whatever reason. They made it happen. And, my mom was the one to pick me up from outdoor ed, take me to the game, go back. Right. Well, in that game, I got to pitch at a really crucial and pivotal point in the game. We were winning. I think we were up 5-3. And the other team had this really great star player. His name's Dustin Croy. Dustin, if you're out there, love you, buddy. Love what you're doing at Agora. Keep it up, man. And he's like the most feared guy. He is I don't know any baseball players right now, but he's like the Barry Bonds. He is just, you don't want to mess with this guy because he's always coming for blood. And my coach called for a high fastball. I don't throw it high enough. And what do you know? Dustin knocks it out of the park. A 3-run homer. They win the game 6-5. It's my fault. I'm the pitcher. I threw the wrong pitch. I did the wrong thing. I am just beside myself and sad and crying. And I'm 11, 12. I can't remember how old I was. Couldn't have been much older. And I remember, my mom didn't say anything going back to outdoor ed. It wasn't a very long drive from the baseball field. She didn't say anything. But when we got there, and when we parked the car, I'm gonna tear up thinking about this. She just looked at me and said, Are you ready to go back with your friends? And I said, no, I can't go back. I'm still just filled with tears. She's like, honey, look at me. I'm so proud of you. And I don't know if she just knew that I was going to get this down the road or something. Didn't elaborate. And just, after that just said, but it's time to go back with your friends. Because she knew that this would likely be past me once I was with my friends. But just that little encouragement, not forcing anything, not forcing me to talk about it or evolve, or dive into detail about the event itself. That's next level parenting to me. And oh man, I didn't tear it. Though I wish I could just go back and break down and diagnose those little moments of decision making, because there's probably mining for gold in terms of how to follow the success blueprint of being a parent in there. And it's those moments that I hold fondly and most dearest now. And back then it was about the arguments we had, and I told you all about the plate that she threw at me at Christmas time, the china plate that I broke because I was running my mouth about just something idiotic. And those are the things that you remember in the moment. Oh, I can't believe my mom did this, or I can't believe that this happened. But damn, I'm so thankful, grateful, and appreciative of who my mother is and the person that she helped me become. So Mom, thank you. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for who you are. You are the best. And I love you deeper and deeper every single day. So thank you. I talked about my grandmother, my stepmom, Patty, my cousin, Nora, so many people who I love, just, oh man, so many people I admire. Our friend Mary, who lives in Kansas, she is just so elegant and effortless, despite, having a tough job and having so many difficult situations encounter her on day to day. We're always flabbergasted at how thoughtful and caring and kind she is with not only her children, but with everyone she encounters. It is her default setting, and it is so cool to see and be part of that. It helps us be better parents in the moment. We're just kind of like, hey, what would Mary do in this situation? Right? How would she handle this? And, all you mothers out there, single mothers, mothers with a significant other, you all are utter and absolute heroes. I don't know how else to express my gratitude for all of you and all you've done, past, present, and future. But you all just, for, in one way or another, you get it. You get it. I don't know what it is, but you get it. And everyone has their style and their speed and their brand and how they conduct themselves with their children, with others, and whatnot. But it is so hard to be just a successful mother, or a mother in general, that I'm always in awe of how you all handle it. I mean, we've met our neighbors nearby, Carrie, Blair, they're wonderful mothers as well. We've met and have so many friends who have been parents before us and have provided just this beacon of, it's going to be okay. You get to this juncture and things start to lighten up a little bit. You start to handle it a little bit better at this point, when they can pull up their pants, or when I read something and someone channeled this as well, when you can leave them in the room independent of you, without fearing for their lives, your life gets a little bit easier to handle. And you keep clinging to these moments of just like, and these checkpoints, and we're starting to see it. I mean, Arlo understands what we're saying, and we talk with him a lot. So for any parents out there, communicate any way you can with your children right from the beginning. Don't use baby talk. Just talk to them like they're a person, and they're going to get that stuff at their own speed. And so many of our friends are like, there's going to be a moment when they just understand what you're saying and they respond with exactly what they need, and it is a game changer for you. You ask them, do you want grilled cheese? No, cereal. Fantastic. I will go get you some cereal. We're going to enjoy it, and I'll get you another bowl if you'd like it, right? And without, we talked previously about social media, and I think, this is one of the wonderful parts, is you do see the wins. You do see that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that you're going to get there on your own time if you're willing to accept the fact that you'll get there. If you constantly want to be frustrated and feel like you're running the hamster wheel and that nothing's ever going to be good enough, or clean enough, or fast enough, or whatever enough, that's going to be your default setting. That's going to be how you feel until the end of time. And it's going to reflect in all your relationships, especially your relationships with your kids. But by having people that we've loved throughout the course of time kind of provide us the roadmap and show us that it's going to be okay at times, and just be there to provide a supportful ear, be a wailing wall, whatever it is. We call Kate, AJ, Joe, Lily, and Chico, we call them with little problems, or just to vent, or about random stuff. And they're like, they either empathize because they're like, oh my gosh, we went through something so similar, or they let us know, hey, you're gonna get past this at a certain point. And having that support system is so crucial as a new parent. As we're older parents, like, let's just call a spade a spade. I mean, we're closer to 40 than 35 at this point. And it's not easy to keep up with kids and to keep up with people, and make, our friends had these children when they were younger. I still maintain, don't have a kid before you're 30. I just wish I would have exercised a little bit better, because I'm seeing a chiropractor now. I got all this stuff in the works to help maintain my body through, baby girl going off into the world on her own, because it is a daily grind on you. And I respect so deeply, people who put their body through hell at work and then put their body through hell with their kids, because man, I can't even, sit here to originate my files without having to get up and stretch and do all these things. But there's so many heroes out there who are doing it right. And, thank you so much for your support and your guidance, because you're giving us the strength and power, whether directly or indirectly, whether you know it or not. And I think just, to kind of wrap a bow on this thing is go back and think about your parents, your moms, your dads, and all the great stuff that they instilled you with. I think that it's easy to focus on deficiencies. It's easy to blame and say they're the reason for this. Any day that you wake up is obviously, you're fortunate at that point to be doing this crazy thing called life. But also in that day, you can make the decision to choose to be a different, better, or worse person. You can make that conscious decision any single day. So to continue to hinge on certain factors it's okay to revisit, in my opinion, but you make the conscious choice moving forward. What's done is done. And there are people who have experienced traumas beyond belief, horrors, and my heart goes out to you. And finding and seeking out the help you need is, might be the next step, but you have to be the one to make that conscious choice when you wake up that day. And it's not an easy choice. It's easy to live in the past and make that your kind of present and your future. But what I would encourage you to do is go back and look at all the good stuff. I know that I haven't done it nearly enough. I'm getting to that point where I'm making it part of my daily practice, but Mom, you got it right. And I love you more than you could possibly imagine. So thank you again. That's all I got for the Mother's Day edition. I'm going to cut it there. Could probably go on and on and on to, to harp on certain points, but let's save some fodder for the next episode. So, what do you want to say to your mom? Do you want to say thank you? I love you, here or not here, physically or spiritually, just take this moment to revisit and, just be grateful that you even have the opportunity to revisit those memories. So I love you, and there is absolutely nothing you can do about it. Happy Mother's Day, and go have a great one.